Hi, Oshea. I calling the name right.
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good. I am so happy to have you on. Thank you for uh, allowing me to interview you and agreeing to come on the show, Midlife Migration.
Definitely.
Yes,
Thank
okay.
you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. All right, so we want to talk about, as I've been talking to my guests about their journey and their story, because everybody's story is unique.
Right.
From when they left Jamaica to the US, you're in the US, you're in Texas, and we just make it
Yeah.
lively, interesting, along the way. So to start, so you left Jamaica when you were 16, but you
Yes.
said your mother had already gone ahead of you from you were 2 years old. So what was
Yes.
your life like in Jamaica without your mommy, and then the transition?
It was pretty normal. I grew up in the country and like country, there's a lot of communities, so you still have a lot of people that, you know, are taking care of you and whatnot. So that was really pretty normal. I think I grew up with a lot of kids who had at least one parent that was living abroad
Mhm.
at the time, so it wasn't very abnormal. I grew up between my grandma and my dad. And then once I started first form, I went to Hampton, so I was in boarding. So then I just lived on campus and would just be off campus during weekends and holidays. And I would spend most of that time at my grandparents and, in the country with the goats and everything.
Right. So talk a little bit more about the country life because I love to hear that because that's kind of similar to my background. Outdoors a lot. And what else?
Outdoors a lot, love climbing trees. I had a pet goat, a pet chicken, um, dogs, but like Jamaican people, they did not allow dogs inside. I have a dog that's inside now, and if my grandmother ever see you, just die. A dog living inside. But it was really nice growing up in the country, I like just tons of fruit trees growing wild, stuff I used to take for granted, like how expensive guava is abroad. And guava used to grow wild in my backyard. Like just walking home from school, you could pick guava, orange, grapefruit, all kinds of apple, how many different mangoes. So like we had just a great upbringing, and and farmed a little bit. My grandma did a little bit of farming as well, so you get exposure to that. So it was really good, a healthy lifestyle.
Very
No
much.
me learn.
Well, how was it in terms of discipline? Now, your grandma was she one of those strict grandmas?
I would say my one was and one was not.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Um, on my father's side, they were teachers, so they were very, very strict.
Mhm.
And then on my mother's side, they were more like domestic and more farmers, fishermen type, carpenter type. So they were a little bit more laid back, I would say. But I was definitely a rebel growing up, just like my grandma used to be like, you have your own way, but it's just important if you're going to be a rebel, do not be a dunce rebel. So so I was rebellious. I mean, obviously they tried to instill discipline and whatnot, and it worked to an extent, but I liked freedom and just being out and trying to live my best life on the island.
Okay, good. So Miss Outspoken, one of those they would call feisty or feisty, as they
Yes.
call it in the American jargon. So now, with the transition, this little 16-year-old, normally you said you would visit during the summer holidays.
Yes.
This particular summer, mommy said, all right, different things now. That was it when you transitioned.
Yes. And so after fifth form, I moved to the States and started an American high school, which was terrible because complete culture shock, just completely different. Just even education standards, how significantly different what we were doing at Hampton in 11th grade in comparison to what people were doing senior year here. It was like I felt so behind. It was really boring. The kids were mean over the whole accent thing. Like I didn't really understand that they were like lame at that time. Like I didn't realize like being Jamaican was like really cool because I was the only Jamaican. So it was a really rough period. And so I didn't really enjoy living in America like my initial time back. But it then I didn't really want to go to college either. So I had the opportunity to join the Navy and to leave New Jersey, thank God, and just kind of do something else because I just didn't really like that environment. Like America is it's very different from Jamaica, like community wise, like the way people interact, what people think is funny. And, being an outsider was just very challenging. And so I just picked the next best thing, and the military was a way to get away.
Okay, because you were used to this kind of down to earth type of thing, and just having it easy. And when you just like a shot, okay, your accent,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, what is really happening here? So you found a way out then, so to speak, after that 1 year in high school?
Yes, after a year. I had applied for a couple colleges in New Jersey, but being a rebel, I'm just like, I don't really want to do the degree that my mother wanted me to do and all these things. And I just had some very elitist cousins, like they were going to like big name schools and whatnot. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to take on that kind of debt. To be here, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And the military just gave me like a gap to be able to figure out like, all right, what do you want to do and how do you want to do it?
Right, interesting, because I've spoken to males and several of them, you said they decided to go into the military. So it's interesting to hear your point of view, the rebel that you call yourself, that you were. Tell me more about your experience now in the military.
So my military experience was very positive because I went in very focused. Like I had a purpose going in. I wanted, they sold me on the whole school thing. And I was adamant to take advantage of that because me never want to go back, go ask my parents, be like, well, the thing that I said I was going to do didn't work out. So
So
I really like buckled down in the
type of thing then, right?
yeah. So when I got into the military, I buckled down, like I made rank very quickly. I took classes and stuff while I was in the military, took the SATs again, apply, and like throughout the 4 years, then reapplied to go to college. Because by that time I was like, no, I know. Me sure I'm done with the military. Like no job cannot be harder than this. So I was like, college is going to be a breeze
Right.
after the military. So yes. So after 4 years of being stationed in Japan, I came back to the States and enrolled in college.
Okay. Well, what kind of persona was needed in the military? I mean, yeah, you were already down to earth. Did you fit in with that kind of environment?
Yes, because you see, the military requires a lot of discipline, but we also have a lot of fun. So there's like a laid back element to the military that you wouldn't understand unless you are in the military. And there was a community element in the military, which was very much like being back home. Like we're very close because like you're on deployment together for months, you're living in close quarters together. And me coming from like a boarding school environment, like that was really comfortable. And so people didn't focus so much on how different we were.
Right.
They were more focused on like team, like how we collectively complemented each other. So I really loved that in the military. And it was just like the perfect transition. Like I literally grew up, I joined 17, I got out at 21. So I literally grew up in the military, everything, learned how to do taxes. My first lease I signed was in the military, like learning how to fill out lease and all kind of stuff. My first light bill, water bill, all that stuff I learned how to do in the military. Financial planning, because like when you go on deployment, you have to do, and like that's how I even started investing, because when you join the military, they would invest a portion of like a military 401k,
Right.
and they would invest, and like that's like it got me started on a really positive path. So by the time I got out and like I was 21, when most people were partying, like I just had more of a vision of what I wanted for myself. So it definitely helped with discipline, and I got to travel, and I had a ton of fun with,
Wonderful.
with
And
people.
to add to that as a bonus, Japanese people love Jamaicans.
love, 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 love. So that made definitely the import experience
Mhm.
really good, because like it was so welcoming. Like to go from Jamaica to Japan was like another complete culture shock. And I had not known nothing about Japan before being stationed in Japan, like probably a little bit of world history from fifth form,
Right.
and did not know that Japanese people love Jamaica like that. Like jerk chicken, Blue Mountain Coffee, the music, not even reggae music, but dancehall music, like knowing the words. Like we used to go clubs in Fukuoka, insane. And it was just nice. It's like you have this family at sea, and then when we come back in port, like you have this Japanese family, and they had tons of reggae concerts in the summer, and it was just a great experience.
And you told me that, which I found funny, the first time you had Blue Mountain Coffee.
Was in Japan.
Can you imagine that?
The
Ah,
first time because I grew up with Folgers. My grandmother treat Folgers like diamond dust. Diamond dust. So like for me, that is the only coffee that I knew was
right, right.
Folgers or the Blue Mountain
Right,
Peak,
that
the
I'm here, but
instant.
I'm here. Yes, yeah.
So like the first time I actually tried legit Blue Mountain coffee was in Japan, and me did go on like say me did know what was going on, but I didn't know what was going on. But I was like, Lord Jesus, how me come all the way to Japan and don't know anything about Blue Mountain coffee? But I was also like 18 years old.
Right.
So no exposure to coffee, like Jamaican coffee, or you know what I mean? All I knew was Appleton. That's it.
Right. So Japan
Oh
was like a first for you in many
yeah.
different ways and different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So after Japan, now you returned. That was after 4 years.
Yeah.
So you returned to San Diego now. So I'm like, tell me if I'm not correct. So
Yes.
San Diego. Right.
So yeah, so I moved back to San Diego. San Diego. That's where I transitioned out of the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I only lived in San Diego for a couple months before I moved to Washington, which is where I started college.
Mm-hmm. But you decided that you're going to have some kind of rest and just for a little while in San Diego before you went back. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. And also that was the same year that I got out of the military was the same year my grandmother had passed away. Like
Oh,
literally my first semester in college. So it was just like a very overwhelming time. Also, I don't know if you remember, but it was also the middle of the last recession.
right. Yes, during that time.
And I came out of the military thinking I was gonna get this big walk and finish up college and whatever. And like I was going to interview after interview after interview, and like it was just a really challenging time. So I really chilled out after that and just really focused on school, because like I had to get multiple jobs and stuff, like completely unexpected.
Mm.
And so that was after San Diego. San Diego was like really a short period. It was just like the transition out of the military and then the beginning of life after the military.
Okay, so life after the military now. So you are married. You want to
Yes.
talk about your husband, your daughter, and the support he was for you in any part of that transition.
So my husband and I, like, we only known each other 5 years. So that like there's a gap between the military. It's almost a decade almost before we met. Where I was living in Washington, then I moved to Hawaii to go to grad school, and then I moved from Hawaii back to California. Then from I was living in San Francisco, then from San Francisco to Wisconsin, and that is where I met my husband. Was in
In our lifetime, we probably move about 70 times. Girl, you've traveled.
I've moved because see, like I'm literally like on my own in America, and one of the things like I would encourage people, you have to have a pretty solid foundation financially and then emotionally. Because so like I've had to move a lot because I don't have like support like that. So I've had to move a lot for work and just to kind of build my footing here, because I just went on a completely different path. And so I just did have to figure it out. So I've moved quite a lot, but for school and for work. And it's just like I have to go where they're giving me scholarship, and I have to go where they're paying me more money or giving me better benefits, because that's just the only way, you have to do that stuff while you're young, because it's just very taxing, because America very expensive to live. So yeah, I've had to move quite a lot of times.
Right, but then you settled down, like, when you met your husband. You said about 5 years ago.
Yes. I moved to Wisconsin. I was working for a utility company. So that's where I met my husband. Wisconsin was like a really cool place too. Like they have a small Jamaican community there. Like there's like 2 Jamaican restaurants, and like it was really nice living there. Like it was the first time actually since Jamaica where I actually lived around Jamaicans.
Right,
Was
yeah.
in Wisconsin. Yeah, it was in Wisconsin. So before that, it was just like all Americans or other immigrants. And that's where I met my husband. I lived there for a year, and then I moved to Florida. And then he moved to Texas. And then while I was in Florida, again, same thing, working for another company. I was just like, what we doing? And then we got engaged, and then I moved to Texas, and that's the story. And now I live in Dallas. And then we had our daughter, she's 2 now. She turned 2 this year. And that's the journey from leaving Jamaica at 16 to living in Dallas, Texas at 35, accomplishing everything I had set out to accomplish. Which, well, not everything. I hope to move back to Jamaica at some point.
Interesting, very interesting. I love that. And I hear that Dallas is very conducive to Jamaicans. More and more Jamaicans I hear are gravitating toward Dallas.
Yes, there's a lot of they have like small Independence Day celebrations and stuff, but because of COVID, I haven't really seen anyone. Like usually you'd hear stuff they sell in. There's a lady that a Jamaican lady that sells in the farmers market here. She's kind of like the glue. But like since COVID, a lot of that stuff I haven't seen or heard from a lot of the people. So yeah, I don't know. And there's not a lot of there's like 3 Jamaican restaurants in Dallas, but they're okay.
Yeah.
The food is okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So talk about now. So since you're settled in Dallas, talk about Bush Stush.
So Lord,
Yes.
my little baby. So Bush Stush is the little business I started in 2018, making Jamaican language jewelry. And I made my first necklace, and it said Stush. And literally I made it because I just wanted people at work to ask me what it means. Someone could have tell them exactly what I mean. Because people think it's like when somebody calls you Stush, I love being called Stush, or you know what I mean? It's just like that's just our word for bossy, posh, bougie.
Yeah.
So I made my first necklace, and then I was on Instagram, and other people were like, where you get that? And I was like, I made it for myself, and I just kept sharing the link to the lady that I had made it through. And then I'm like, I should just try to see if I can make some of these myself and like put it on Etsy. And while I was waiting, I just had started the shop, and initially I was just making like shell earrings and stuff from shells that I found in Jamaica. And then I got my first sample of the Stush necklace, and that's all she wrote. And now, I mean, it's not a huge store, but it's big to me because I remember the first year a tree smarty buy.
The first year, and that was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really huge because I think people don't realize it's very expensive to make custom jewelry. And our language is very niche. So literally, if Jamaican people don't care about it, it is dead. And for me, it was such a risk because, a lot of times you hear the sentiments, Jamaican people, they love foreign brand and they love British things and American things. And it seems like we don't have a sense of pride in our stuff, but I think that Jamaicans do, it just didn't exist. So I was just like, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to see, like, I'm not good with the marketing and all of that stuff, but I'm just like, I just wanted to put out something that was for us. And if people never like it, then it's just like, if I see one person was like, oh, nobody never want to build nothing Jamaican, I'm going to kill them in the comments. Because, you know, like, I see a lot of Jamaicans out here making custom Jamaican things. So I just wanted to follow suit. And it's something that if I ever ended up moving back to Jamaica, like, it's something that I would hope to be able to convert to something maybe charitable.
Okay.
So yeah, it just started out of just a love of patois. I love patois, is my therapy. And I just love the words that we use to describe each other. They're just so colorful. Yeah, and I just wanted something like,
yeah, go ahead.
Tangible, that represented just the colorfulness of our language, and like just how one word stush can mean so much to, like, depending on how you use it, how you say it to, you say it into your friend, or you're saying it to your enemy or somebody you know really like it has a whole bunch of context. And I just love the little pasa with wearing a stush necklace too, but she thinks she cute. I just love that element. And then talawa, we have talawa necklace, which is, it's like one of our oldest words, most recognizable words. And I have on my talawa choker right now, like I wear it all the time. It's just a reminder that after how many hundreds of years of colonization, like, we have managed to keep our language alive. And people don't realize how many countries don't have religion, language, like customs or anything. Like, all that stuff has been wiped out, you know, for sameness. And I just want us to remember. And the other thing, because there's a little bit of ego behind it, like, gold and silver, like, it lasts forever. And it's something that if you purchase, it will last forever. When you're 50, you will have your talawa necklace, and it will have the same sentiment as when you bought it 30 years ago. So it's like really timeless jewelry. And, you know, and I have all kinds of words: stush, talawa, brata, unruly, foreign, like, especially after the words that like Miss Lou and those folklorists made popular. I just love those words, and people have really taken to it. And, you know, I went from just having 3 sales in 1 year. No, like, I feel like on Etsy, that I checked recently, I had like over 700 sales. So people have really, really liked it. And I just want to keep going with it, even though it's small. I'm just like, I get a lot of joy from just short. People send me their maternity suits with like pictures of wearing the stush necklace and the stush jewelry. And it's just really awesome. Like, you're a part of so many special moments.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So your website is
bushstush.com, bushstush.com.
Okay, so that's how.
And we always have discount, and I always give brata, because I know Jamaican love something extra.
You have discounts, and you send an extra one.
Yes.
When someone purchases. So that is very good marketing as well. As much as they say you don't know about the marketing, but that's excellent marketing.
Well, it's Jamaican marketing. You know, I grew up going to the market. So you put, you know, it gives people a good feeling to know that you're not gouging them, like, you really are excited about their purchase. I care about every single purchase that I get. Like, you know, I had to put a lot of money into it. So it's nice to see some returns. And to be able to pay for inventory. And like, even like, I've been able to donate during COVID and stuff. It just feels good, because it's like Jamaicans helping other Jamaicans just indirectly, and you get something cute that represents your culture from it.
Wonderful. Love it. Love it. All right. So now, before we wrap up, just your words of advice or any lessons that stand out for you that you want to share to people who are maybe planning to move from Jamaica, from any other country to another country.
I think definitely have a plan, and don't get distracted for that plan. Definitely keep people in your circle that support that plan. You know, it's just like if you have children, you don't want to be friends with people who every day they're telling you how they're glad they don't have children.
Right.
It will drag you down. So it's so important, like just to have a plan. Whatever it is, it's not everybody that coming to America to get rich. Whatever it is that you're coming here to accomplish, just make sure you write it down and look at it often, because like America is a wonderful place. There's a lot of opportunity, but there's also a lot of opportunity for them to take your money as well. So if you want to build a house back in Jamaica, as you come up here, you open a separate bank account for that thing, because if you're coming up here for education, make sure you do especially doing research. I realize a lot of people, don't look on YouTube. Do not go on YouTube and think anybody's going to tell you how to make it.
Right.
Like, do your own research to match your own goals, like what you're trying to execute. And it can be a positive experience. And just definitely the people around you I think are the most important, because life in America is up and down. So you don't want that in your family circle. You don't want that in your friend circle, because even if you have a perfect family and perfect friendships, you're going to have hard days.
Sure.
Even the weather will affect you. Just prepare, like just do your research, know what you're getting yourself into, and stay, like when I say write down your goals, I am dead, like dead serious, because sometimes it's just overwhelming. Like they always have all kinds of issues going on, and racial issues and stuff, especially if you're a minority moving here.
Right.
Build your emotional intelligence, and about make racists come out here and dry out, because some of you, like, sometimes you're more intelligent and doing better than the people who discriminate. So you have to just mentally prepare yourself for those kind of situations. And I think that's it.
Yeah. The mental.
Come here, breath, enjoy yourself, but don't over breath.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's awesome for people to move. I moved a lot. It's hard. It's very hard. Like I don't want to tell you about homesick. Homesick reached me even last week.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I mean. Just like be aware of what you're in for and have ways to cope. Like when I am feeling homesick, maybe I pull out a bulla recipe and bake. Like I have little things that I do to just keep me connected to home.
Yes.
And if it's church, like if it's religion that you love, stay close to that. But like you just need little things to keep you grounded. And like when you're having hard times, don't be the kind of person that just dump. Like find productive ways to restore yourself, because it is very taxing here. Even just the weather. even just the change of season. So yeah, definitely have things that restore you.
Well, this was great.
Thank you. I didn't chat you out. We never chat you out.
No, man. We were in good time. So
that's good.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best with the business and with your family.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And you too. But thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to go fast, because your other interviews were so nice, and I'm like, if me go sound good.
Oh, so well, so nice.
All right, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure being on your podcast, and thank you for using this platform to showcase and share. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, later.
All right, you're great.